Hey everyone, welcome back to Tuckaway Pines. In today's video, I want to show you guys how I turn my beautiful pumpkins here into some edible, delicious pumpkin puree. So with Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up and the season is starting to wind down, things are starting to get cold, I thought it would be perfect time to bring you guys along and show you how I make my delicious pumpkin puree out of my sugar pie pumpkins that I grew in the garden this year. If you guys have been following along with us for a little while now, you'll know that this year was a very good year for pumpkins in the garden. Got plenty of jack-o'-lanterns, Howden pumpkins, even some cute decorative gourds, and I was able to produce 3 sugar pie pumpkins. So I'm going to bring them in and show you how I make my own homemade pumpkin puree. So these pumpkins I had outside for a good while. I was using them for decoration during, the Halloween season and all that. But now with the holidays coming up, it's time to actually put these puppies to good use. And it's super easy to make your own pumpkin puree and definitely a lot better quality than what you get at the store. So I'm going to start with the smaller one just to get that out of the way. And it's, again, really very simple. What you want to do is take off your stem, just like that. And these are starting to get a little soft, so which is kind of nice. It'll be easier to work with, but you could tell that these need to be preserved or processed before they go bad. So I rip the stem off, and then I'm just going to take like a serrated blade and very carefully cut this in half. So I'm just going to cut it in half, and again, it's very soft, so it makes it a little easier. And then just split it open, just like so. Next, I'm going to use a bowl and a spoon here and just scoop out all the guts, all the seeds and all that pulp that's in the center. But you want to keep the meat that's on the outer rim or the outer wall here. So, which it's very easy to tell a difference because the guts, again, are like guts. Very stringy, soft, squishy. So you just kind of want to work all that out. And I just throw it all in a bowl, and then I will show you guys in a little bit what I do with the seeds. So now that both of these are cut in half and gutted completely, you can see my big bowl of guts here. What I'm going to do is take these upstairs and pop them in the oven. So what you want to do is place them on a cookie sheet, cut side down, just like so, and wrap them individually with tin foil, surround it all with tin foil, and then you want to pop it in the oven at 350 degrees and bake them for about an hour, maybe an hour and 20, depending on the size of the sugar pie pumpkin, roughly about an hour. And then once that's all done, we'll take them out and let them cool. And then while these are in the oven, I'm going to kind of take all these seeds out of the guts, kind of sift through them, rinse them off really good, and lay them out so they can dry. And I'll show you what I use the seeds for once they're all clean and dry. So I'm going to go ahead, bring these babies upstairs, get them wrapped up, and pop them in the oven. Okay, so it's been a little over an hour. I had these guys in for about an hour and 10 minutes. Took them out of the oven and let them cool for about another 30 minutes. They're still warm, but not overly hot. I can still work with them and handle them now. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna essentially take all the meat out and blend it all up. I'm using a food processor, but you can use a blender if you don't have a food processor at home. Or if you don't have any sort of equipment like that, you can use like a potato masher or anything like a whisk and just kind of, or even a hand mixer. If you guys had a hand mixer at home, that'll help beat and like, mash all this pumpkin meat up, and that's essentially your puree. So to start off, I'm going to get my little processor bowl here ready. It's all locked in. And the skin comes off super easy. You can literally just kind of peel it off. I have a spoon here so I can scrape the meat off the skin and into my processor. So, and this is where it gets a little messy because everything's just really soft and ooey gooey. But it will definitely go a lot faster and a lot easier when it's all baked down like this. And I know some people will pre-sweeten their pumpkin pie, or not their pumpkin pie, their pumpkin puree right off the bat. I typically don't. I keep it just like this. I don't add anything in it or to it unless I am actually gonna start cooking or baking with it. Then I'll season it, flavor it, sweeten it how I see fit. And this stuff stores very, very easy. It is so easy to have this, you know, stable. I can't say on the shelf because pumpkin puree, they don't have a tested recipe for canning the puree of pumpkin. Pretty sure you can can chunks of pumpkin, but I prefer the puree. That's what we like to use here on our homestead. I'm not a fan of chunked pumpkin. I know some people make pumpkin soup and stuff like that. I typically use my pumpkin puree for baking purposes, especially for the holidays with Thanksgiving coming up as well. And I thought that would be a perfect time to do all this, bring you guys along and show you again how I make my own puree. So you can see this is very mushy. I can just rip this apart. And I'm just trying to scrape up as much meat as I can off the skin. Again, very messy. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue doing all this. And then once my little bowl here is full, which it's starting to get full, I will blend it all the way up until it's nice and smooth, almost like a pudding or like an applesauce consistency, where it's all just, you know, all blended together really nice, smooth. You don't have any chunks or fibers or anything sticking out. It's all nice and cohesive. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will show you what the end result looks like and how I actually store this stuff for long term. So I have everything all blended up or all processed. It is a nice smooth consistency, again, like applesauce almost, or maybe even baby food. It's a good way to gauge that it's nice and smooth and well blended. No chunks are in here at all. So what I do to store this long term is I put it in a jar or even a container, like a, you know, a freezer safe container, whether that's a Tupperware or like a glass jar here. But I do store it in something like this, and then I will freeze it in the freezer. Now pumpkin puree stays good in the freezer for 3 months or so. I usually keep it in the freezer that long because I do primarily use this for baking. So again, very, very easy to process and to store. I think it comes in handy It's absolutely delicious, and again, so much better quality than what you can find at the store. And it's a good way to use the produce that we grow every year. So I'm very happy. And if I don't use all of this for baking, because I will have about 3 jars, pretty much a jar per pumpkin that I've had. I know I only showed you guys 2 pumpkins today, but I did do the other one just the other day just to get that done and out of the way. And then I figured, well, with these last 2, bring you guys along and show you how I make it. So, but like I was saying, I primarily use this for baking, but if there's anything left over, give it to the dogs as a nice treat. We'll make smoothies or like milkshakes out of pumpkin. I'll even go ahead and make like a pumpkin pancake for like a breakfast or something, or make them ahead of time and then freeze the pancakes. So nothing, I definitely try not to put anything to waste, whether that's, you know, preserving things a certain way, preserving things in multiple different ways, or even giving it to the animals such as the dogs or even the chickens. And if none of those options work, then I guess it goes back to the compost to start the cycle all over again. But either way, nothing goes to waste. So, I'm gonna clean up my rim here. I forgot to use my funnel. But everything is just put in this jar. I could probably fit a little more puree into this jar, but I am gonna freeze it, so it'll help give a little room for expansion, because again, there is water and moisture inside this pumpkin puree, so things will expand just a little bit. And then I just kind of tap it around, make sure everything's nice and settled. And then I'll put a nice airtight lid on top. And I definitely don't want to forget to label and date these jars. Right now I know what they are, but once they're all frozen and frosty in the freezer, I could forget. So, and it helps to know when I preserve these or process this, so I know how long it's been in the freezer. So there's that. That's how I turn my sugar pie pumpkins into a delicious homemade pumpkin puree for baking and all sorts of other useful applications in the household. Now, so with the seeds that come out of these pumpkins, I like to do 2 separate things. I like to, well, first of all, I like to clean them off, get all the guts off of them and all that pulp away from them, and I'll spread them out either on a large cookie sheet or a paper plate like this and just let them dry out. Like I let them air dry, and I like to save at least a good portion of these seeds for next year so I can start growing some more pumpkins next year. I don't have to buy new seeds. I can just take what I've already grown and saved and just repeat the cycle again next year. And then for all the extras, because I definitely don't need this many seeds to grow a couple pumpkin plants. So with any of the excess, I will oil, season however I like, whether that's with salt, garlic salt, onion powder, anything like that. I will kind of season them up and roast them in the oven. And that's essentially super easy. Kind of like my breadcrumb making video. If you guys haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. You just oil season your seeds, lay them flat over a cookie sheet, and bake them in your oven on the lowest temperature for about an hour or so, as long as they're nice and dry and, you know, edible or chewable, kind of like your store-bought pumpkin seeds. You know, you'll kind of know when they're ready just by taste testing them. It's a texture thing, because right now these will be very chewy right now since they're not fully dried out or baked. So they'll be very chewy and hard to actually get down. But once they're fully roasted and dried out properly, they'll just kind of crunch up and be very delicious and flavorful. So that's what I like to do with my seeds. That way nothing goes to waste. And I also kind of have my own stock of seeds starting for next season. That way I don't have to, you know, spend money on some seeds when I know what I'm growing and that I like the variety and it works great for us, and I'm actually able to get something out of it. And it's very productive as well. Okay, so there you have it. Homemade pumpkin puree and even homemade pumpkin seeds, if you will. I do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I apologize for the audio during this video. There's a lot of commotion happening upstairs, and that is another reason why I'm down here in the preservation station showing you this instead of the main kitchen. So I appreciate you guys taking the time and bearing with me through the poor quality of this video, but I do hope you guys have gained some great information from this video as well. So please, I would greatly appreciate it if you would give this video a like, maybe comment, and definitely, hopefully, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other fun little preserving projects we do here on the homestead. Alright, you guys, thank you again. Happy holidays. Have a good night.